Here we are again, you guys. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, look at this. So, I have this wand, and it's called a Taitian, and there's silver or bronze, and I was using it prior to starting, and it's evidently tarnished because it's silver, and I left tarnish marks on my little, look like Ash Wednesday for a minute. Okay, how about we start again? Hi, everyone. See, that's the benefit of being with your family. That's the benefit of, just spending every night together in this month of November, right? We get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. We get to learn new things. We get to laugh at each other, laugh at ourselves, right? I mean, laugh with each other. What? Right? But we get to laugh at ourselves. And that's really super magical when we think about creating well-being, right? Is to be able to look at our stumbles, learn from our stumbles, laugh at ourselves. I mean, think right now for me, a time where you've just think of that incredible friend you have. The one that it doesn't matter if you haven't called in a while, right? It doesn't matter if you haven't texted. It doesn't matter that it's been a while since you've seen them, right? This is the person that we always joke about, and that it wouldn't matter how long it's been. We can catch up just as if we had just been living next door to them for the last 23 years. There's just no skip, right? There's just no issue. We just sort of can pick up exactly where we left off. And that joke is always, when someone's a good friend, when they'll help you out in times of trouble. It is your best friend when they will help you bury the body, kind of thing, right? So I just want you to think of that person in your life and how you are grateful for them, how you are thankful for them, and about all of the times that you had laughter together. And that's really not what I wanted to talk about tonight, but it seems like such a great message to remind ourselves that when we are so far away from others, that there are ways that we can bring them close. There are ways that we can, through, again, those meaningful moments, those moments that give us purpose, right? No one on their deathbed is counting how many shoes they have. They're counting those meaningful moments. So I want you to definitely pay attention to those. I want you to really, in times of trouble, you're feeling distant from other people, that you get to think of those times where they laughed at you or you laughed at them. But tonight's topic is actually not that at all. Tonight's topic is about weight loss, right? Tonight's topic is... does timing matter? When do you start a weight loss program? Does timing matter? And I think that we're in a week for many people where they may be celebrating time with family and friends, where they may be thinking about indulging in holiday dinners, giving thanks, being grateful, and kind of counting their blessings. Now, so the first lesson I want from that is, or if there's going to be a lesson or a thread or a theme through tonight's 28 days of health, it's going to be this: don't wait for a special day, right? Don't wait to leave some tarnish on your 11s here to then tell someone a story and get into the goofy stuff, right? Do that when it comes naturally to you. So you're going to find that there's some themes that are going to kind of pull through tonight's topic, and that is, don't wait for a special day, right? Don't wait for the right day to get started on a weight loss program. Don't wait for the first day of a year, a week, right? A month, and say, oh, I need that target, right? Don't wait for the day. Days are definitely can help us mark progress, but I only want you counting days after you have started, right? And the idea there is to mark your progress, not put off your progress. So that's my first lesson when it comes down to, does timing matter? If there's something that is you think is perfection, but it in fact is procrastination, right? We need to be honest with ourselves about that. And this is often where group or community culture is very beneficial to help us achieve our goals. We somewhat are motivated by the actions of others. I've shared that with you guys over these last weeks together, is that when you start doing something, it inspires action in other people. And that word inspiration is not a small word, it's a meaningful word. You will inspire action in other people, even if all you're doing is inspiring them to drink more water, feel that they are empowered to do something about themselves, their health, no matter how small it feels, right? Inconsequential. Those little things add up. And why that's very powerful, and why counting the days afterwards can be helpful, is to see how far you've come. You know, most often when we talk to people that have been very successful with a fitness plan, quitting smoking, quitting alcohol, starting a new weight management plan, what we often find is that these people will say, there wasn't anything special about the day. There wasn't anything special about the day. I said, today's the day. I woke up and today was the day. I was moving in the right direction and I hit my flow and today was the day, right? So it doesn't mean that it's not worthwhile to say, this is the day that I'm going to start, right? Making that decision is incredibly powerful as well. But what I want it to be is, I'm going to make a decision. I think the decision's now. How about I just do it now, right? We often, throughout this month, had made comments like, stop arguing what a good man should be, right? Just be one. Stop, quit evasion. Stop getting in your own way. Take action. Do it now, right? Do it honestly. Do it without hypocrisy if you're helping other people, but do it now, right? And then there's going to be that third group of people that they say, yeah, I didn't need a special. If that first group of people are the people that say it wasn't a special day, right? Or they're the people that say, I want to get started. I'm going to choose a day. That day is today. Then there's the people that are going to move themselves to that level of inspiration, move themselves to motivation, because they did it with community. Coming back to that thread again, because they did it with someone that had helped them inspire action. They did it with someone where they said, I feel like I need a wingman, a buddy system. I need something that maybe will hold me accountable. We find fantastic benefit in accountability. And that kind of speaks to where we were last night, about the importance of the fact that when we are a cooperative people, we end up getting so much more work done. And then this comes back to that sense of honesty. Are you the type of person that can accept help, right? Or are you the type of person that can't learn something new, right? You know how you're going to do this, and it's going to be just like this, and you don't want something else to come in and say, no, you should be doing it this way, right? We need to be honest with ourselves about the type of way that we're going to attack this. Are you the, I woke up one day and I did it? Are you the, I'm going to set a date, that date is now, because I don't see I don't need to put off a week because, the first is on that day, or the first of the month, or the first of the year, or the beginning of the week, right? Or are you someone that says, nope, I need it to be structured. I need it to be written out, right? Then I'm going to ask you to be honest if how much of the P word we're using, right? How much is perfection and how much is procrastination? And then I want us to think about, are we coachable? And that's more about can you be honest and open about your weaknesses, your strengths? Can you take advice from someone that's either been there before you or is standing on the outside and can see something different, right? So, yes, I would say in answer to the question, is there a right time to start a weight management program? Clearly, we have to make a decision that we're going to do something, that we want to make a change. But we've also revealed over the course of these weeks together that small steps lead to big changes, and that you're more likely with these small changes like water, getting a little bit of that early morning light, right, for our immunity, doing something that challenges our body, whether that is 20 minutes in the cold with mindful meditation, or it is getting up earlier than you're used to, right, for physical exercise or walking the dog, or it's just what you've decided to do is to implement a healthy sleep routine, which means you go to bed at the same time each night and you wake up at the same time each morning. What we find is that those people that can do small things, that can stick with those types of goals, right, are the people that wake up and go, I don't know, there wasn't anything special about that day. Now, let's flip the script. Does timing of starting a weight management program matter? If you're just about to head into a holiday season of grateful abundance, right, with family and friends, you are probably, as are other people that are talking to you, probably saying now is not the time to start, right? But now is the time to make a decision about how you want to treat that day and the day after that and the day after that, right? This doesn't have to be a time necessarily of restriction, but it does have to be a time of contemplation's not the right word, but it does need to be a time of where we've made a decision that we're not going to go off the rails, right? Now, one of the reasons why I think this is important is to have a plan for what you plan to do on days where there's all kinds of grateful abundance around you, is to remind yourself how you have felt when you've eaten poorly in the past, especially if you've been eating clean over the last 21 plus days, right? I'm also going to give you permission that if you do eat poorly, well, I'm not, I guess the word isn't, I'm going to give you permission, but what I want to counsel you on is if you're going to eat or drink and it's completely different than what you've been doing for the last 21 days, that you do yourself the service of paying attention to how you feel the next day. Turn that into something meaningful, right? How do you feel the next day? If you feel junky, if you feel like that was a mistake, I did eat too much, let that be a lesson, not a punishment, right? Let that be something that you go, okay, now I know how I respond to that and what it feels like. I've just gotten a taste of what kind of like not feeling great feels like after 2, or 3+ weeks of feeling pretty great. The reason why this is powerful is that there's a lot of people at this mark in their 28 days that will either be saying, I got this, or they'll be saying something along the lines of, I'm not really sure I'm seeing all of the benefits I hoped I would, right? And so sometimes we need to have some kind of stressor on the body, some kind of challenge that reminds us, wow, no, I do feel different. If any of you ever have had a friend that's a smoker, you've been a smoker, maybe you grew up in a household where smoking was, right? And you were away from that for a really long time, and then you come back into a household or a place where there's smoking, you can't believe, right, what that's like. You just go, and I used to be, or I used to hang out with, or I used to live in, right? That's ultimately what putting these kind of junk food challenges on the body do. These overeating, the pie, the alcohol, what ends up happening is that ends up being that little bit of a challenge to the system. And we go, no, I was feeling better. And that just feels like I walked into a smoke-filled room. So now I know. So make sure that it ends up being a lesson, not a punishment for you, right? That you don't beat yourself up for something like that. Now let's move past times like this week and think, does timing matter when it comes to losing weight, right? Well, if we've put aside the decision to do it, right? The someday, the today, the I just woke up and, right? We've put that aside. We've put the special occasion stuff aside, and we've made the decision with those that we're going to know, that we're going to be conscious about what we're doing. Maybe we're going to drink more fluid before we go out. Maybe you're going to do some soup broth, some bone broth. These tend to be really great ways to stop stop you from overeating. If you're going to be with family and friends, I suggest that you make a healthy dish that you can bring, right? So that you've got something to eat and not overeat, right? So that you have a way to parse out the things that maybe you don't want to be taking too much of. But now let's look. It's not a special time of the year. People aren't setting resolutions, so we don't have to have that discussion about, is this the right time to be starting a weight management program? Let's just talk about the day-to-day, everyday stuff, because that's how most of us are living our lives, right? In the everyday, right? Not the special occasion, right? Not the time of setting resolutions or anything like that. Let's actually get back to the everyday. If you are a menstruating female, the 14 days into your cycle, between 14 and 19 days into your cycle, this is not the time for you to start a weight management program. You are in a phase of your cycle that your body says you should be fed. And this would be a difficult time for you to start a weight management program, for you to restrict your calories, regardless of longevity factors, regardless of what the literature says about quality calories, those sorts of things. When we eat a low glycemic impact diet, we have reduced by relative to the way we used to be eating our calories. And that can be in this time, in this starting of the third week in women, can be a difficult time for them to have pulled back on their calories, to pull back on some of their fat, to pull back on some of those things, because hormonally they're in a place where they're going to consume more calories. Helping women understand that this is a normal part of starting that third week is really important. So they, one, don't feel like a failure. Two, they recognize that they're going to have to plan better for that week when it comes to giving themselves some better snacks. Do yourself a favor if you are a menstruating female. Kind of take your own personal inventory and ask yourself, am I better or worse the same throughout that cycle? Like where am I in that cycle where I feel emotional and therefore prone to emotional eating? Where am I in that cycle where I am prone to eating whatever I want, right? Where am I in that cycle where I feel like, wow, I woke up with a flat stomach today. Woohoo, flat stomach, right? Where am I where I feel my lightest and my heaviest? And those are going to be some of your markers. Those are going to be the best ways for you to mark your success. And the reason why knowing where those are in a menstruating female is because this is also where she's going to measure and weigh. Right? We don't want to pick random times. Like if you do sometimes wake up with a flat belly, you wake up and you're like, I just feel light today. Like, I don't know, how do you shed that many pounds at night? Right? If there are days where you have that and you measure yourself on that day and you weigh yourself on that day, right? And then you have another time where you're like, okay, well, a few weeks have gone by. I think I want to measure, right? I feel like I've been doing everything right, but I still feel so yucky. How come I feel yucky right now? Right? And you measure yourself on that day and you see that you've gone up in inches or in pounds, right? Depending on the type of scale you have, you're going to be able to get even deeper metrics on that. But all you've done, right? You've defeated yourself because you think that now all of a sudden something horrible metabolically happened to you. You are hurting yourself because you just measured two metrics that don't match, right? Week 1 and week 3, they don't match, right? Or week 1 in some women, and then you didn't measure again at the 4th week, but you measured at the 5th or the 6th week, right? And you're like, well, no, by the 6th week, Dr. D said I should be seeing some significant changes. And this is usually where people start to say, well, I got this, I can just keep going. I don't know if I need as much coaching anymore. But you measured yourself in these very random times, right? So that's going to be one of my tips to help you if you are female, for you to be able to measure always at the same time. If you're a non-menstruating female, you have your menstruation has stopped, right? You may think, well, I can do it whenever I want. I'm going to ask you to still find a way to follow some kind of cycle. This may be tracking instead of a menstrual cycle. I want you to track better how you wake up in the morning with sleep, right? Do you wake up feeling rested? Do you wake up feeling like you're just going to jump in the bed and have a lot of energy? Those things tend to track our hormones as well. Just because you're not menstruating does not mean that you don't have something to track there, or that you're not being influenced by hormones. Some women will also choose to use phases of the moons for their measurement, new moon and full moon. So you may want to think about just giving yourself an imposed calendar if that's the case. But regardless of where you are in hormones, it is just so problematic to measure at random times like that, just simply because we are always under that influence. Now, men are thinking, well, then it's easy, right? I can just measure whenever I want, right? So what I'm going to say for both men and women, but men, I'm speaking to you now, is that your body weight is about 2% less in the morning. So be consistent with timing of weighing yourself if you're doing that. Do men fall underneath some of these same cycles? Sleep is still going to be how you're going to measure this. Yes, you fall underneath these same cycles. They're persistent, under the wire more so than women's fluctuations on 30 days. But you are still run by sleep cycles. Every cell in your body is running on a circadian or a sleep, daylight, dark clock, right? And so what we want to do is we're going to do something very similar with men to be able to track them properly, to identify the best time for them to start a weight management program. Now, what you may have heard me say, and I want to make sure that I'm clear, because I'm asking you not to wait to start a program, right? But then also telling you that you should know more about yourself so that you don't like fall into some kind of like, I guess this just isn't going to work for me, right? I don't want you to stop. And here's one of the things that you can do to kind of fill in those gaps while you learn a little bit about yourself. First off, if you're a female, there's a good chance that you have some knowledge of this already. We are ridiculous at paying attention to these details and when the jeans fit and when they don't. So you might already know yourself, right? And then I'm just letting you know that start of that 3rd week is just not a good time to start someone on a weight management program, because you've set them up for failure. Instead, set them up for healthy journaling. So that's my advice to you. If right now is not the time to start, because you are male or female, you just know that you're running headlong into just one of those weeks where you're not going to be able to stay committed to yourself, right? Now I want you to be honest, because you may be that person that says, no, when I go in, I go all in. And the fact that there's more stressors being applied to me just means I'm going to be more disciplined because I know that I have to, right? You also know that about yourself. But what I want you to do, if you are running headlong into something that you think is ultimate failure for you to get started with a weight management program, I want you to take that time to journal. Just simply journal your water intake. What foods are you eating when you try to eat healthy, right? Again, you're not on a meal plan in this week. What you're doing is eating what you believe to be healthy, doing your best, right? And I want you to write all of that down, because by writing that down, you'll get a sense of what, one, you consider as healthy, two, if you skip meals, three, if something's going on in your life where you feel like that's the thing that pushes you over and makes you go get M&Ms, or in my case, marshmallows, right? You're gonna know. You're gonna know that. You're going to track and journal your sleep. How well are you waking up? Are you waking up feeling refreshed? Are you going to sleep and having an easy time falling asleep? Your sleep cycle, your sleep habits, your sleep status has a very big role here in how successful you'll be with weight management, both mentally but also hormonally. So we really want to get our sleep cycles in check. For many of you, this you're getting started may not be a stricter meal plan or a strict supplement regimen. It may be just getting your sleep under control, your hydration under control, and your stress under control. You will definitely be setting yourself up for success if you can do this. If getting your stress under control, it tends to be your insulation factor, routines are going to be the solution for you. And what I need you to do, if stress is one of your problems, if I need you to institute routines so that you can remove the chaos, right? A chaotic mind will not one, stay committed to a program, but will also not really make the neural connections that they need to make good decisions, to say, yes, I can do that, or yes, I can stick with that. So this is where we really try to implement a strong routine, where people tend to feel that the reason why they go off the rails is because of too much stress. The last thing I want to add to this is taking time for yourself, right? So we talked a little bit yesterday about the biggest act of selfishness is selflessness, that doing something for other people, that caring for other people, that helping other people in some fashion, volunteering, giving money, being a listening ear, being a shoulder to cry on, that those are things that increase happiness in individuals, right? But there comes a point where if we are not giving ourselves the space to ask someone else for that in return, which is why it's so great to think about whoever that friend was at the beginning of today's talk, right? To think about how you can have that person in your life to be someone that you talk to, someone that you cry on their shoulder, someone that you laugh with, right? I want you to think about how you can do that, because giving to someone is great, but when, as they often say, you can't pour from an empty cup. What I think people are very surprised to find out when it comes to self-care is that 10 minutes is no small thing. So spending 10 minutes, just like you get to spend time with me here each night, this is no small thing. This is something for you. You need to celebrate those wins. If you're watching on replay, you need to celebrate that win, right? That you committed to something, that you committed to do something. If you can do it in a space that allows you to pay attention, right? Or take notes or really meditate on that thought, that's even better. But deep breathing. So even if it's going into the bathroom, shutting the door where no one's going to bother you, and I know what you parents of young kids are saying right now, so we have to find a solution for you, but just spending some time by yourself, breathing in and breathing out, right? When it comes to making good food choices, right? What I want you to do, if you say, I don't have time in the middle of the day for self-care or to take care of myself, or I'm always giving to other people, what I really want you to think about is meal prepping. I want you to make yourself one of your meals, right? I want you to be very thoughtful. I want you to take time to do that. I want you to carve out time. It means that you have to get rid of TV sometimes. You definitely have to get rid of that Facebook scrolling, right? That dread scrolling that so many people do. There's something in your life that you can steal those 10 or 15 minutes from, and you can make yourself a morning smoothie. You can have that act of kindness for yourself where you are creating something for yourself. It doesn't have to be big. Like I said, it can be a nutrition shake, right? And you add in some of your favorite things, whether they're fruits or veggies, and make that for you. What's going to happen after you do that more than once, it's going to be similar to what I had mentioned yesterday, where the first time you ask yourself, where's my head at today? Right? How am I feeling right now in my head? The first thought will come to you of, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, those sorts of things. But over time, what ends up happening, and it does happen, is you start to look around and say, there are so many of these incredible things around me. And that's ultimately what creating that smoothie, that shake, that meal prep for you, that time it takes, forces you to slow down. It forces you to be doing something for yourself, and it creates a care model that you're going to follow. So my rule for this special meal that you're going to make for yourself, or this meal prep, is that it's not something that you would normally eat. It is not your, I've already cooked the hard-boiled eggs, right? Or I've already made the little frittatas and put them in my baggie so I've got good food to eat at the office or later on so I don't make bad mistakes. This one, if giving to yourself is a hard one, then it needs to be something that you don't normally do. It can't be one of your fallback modes. It can't be one of your fallback on meals. It has to be something that you're creating for yourself. Okay. You guys, I love the comments down below. Make sure that you're commenting. If you have a particular weight loss question and you're just wondering how do you get over that obstacle, put comments down below and I'll take a look. Until I get to see you again, go be healthy, go be brilliant.